Well, hello, youth ministry people. We are here again for another fantastic episode of Truth Bombs with the Saints. Today's saint is Saint Mark the Evangelist. That means he wrote one of the Gospels. So there you go. Now you know.
Yay.
You didn't know before. So today we have with us Sarah Meeker, youth ministry volunteer extraordinaire. I think we should just put extraordinaire at the end of your name now, Sarah. It'd be great.
Indeed.
Tyler Marsh, youth ministry extraordinaire over at St. Michael's Church, Sharonville, and seminarian seminarian and residence, I guess, Stephen Codekas. And Codekas, tell us what's behind you today.
It's a lion.
It's a lion.
There's this string of lions, like going the, if you know, the back way to Vegas, like supposedly the quicker way, which it is because it's,
because nobody goes
not patrolled.
Yeah, no traffic.
No one wants to go to the desert.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can go as fast
Vegas,
as you want.
but
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's this mystery thing, like who put all these stone lions there? So I had to take a picture one day.
Mm-hmm. So you've actually been in the presence of this lion. You did not take this off the internet.
I took this picture. Yeah, I got out my car and like, hey, lion, rawr.
Well, we'll talk in a little bit about why you have a picture of a lion behind you, because it actually has something.
I have
to
a
do with
great whole
Thanks.
spiel about it.
Okie dokie. Okay, we'll start with
Full
Sarah.
10-second spiel.
Why do you have to start with me? You know I'm still reading Wikipedia.
It's okay. You can do it, Sarah. I have faith in you. Sarah, what's your favorite thing about Mark?
Favorite thing? Yeah, I don't know that I have a favorite thing, but the one thing that I actually remembered before reading anything was the story that's in his gospel, where he is in the garden with Jesus, and there's the story that a young man ran away naked, and it's speculated that that's Mark because it's in Mark's gospel, and who would notice that detail other than the person who actually ran away naked. So that was the one thing I remembered about him before I read anything else. So that's going to be my favorite thing.
Your fun fact.
I don't know.
Your St. Mark fun fact. Okay, Sarah, I have to tell you, I'm so glad I did not wear that shirt today, because I would have gone and changed.
Twinsies.
I know, because we would have been twinsies for sure. Okay, awesome. Tyler, favorite fact, the most interesting thing you found out about Mark the Evangelist?
Favorite fact, I love that he wrote the shortest of the Gospels. I think that's interesting. I stole your fact, Stephen. Haha.
No, it's okay. I got another one.
And it's really cool that he's the patron of a lot of places, not so many things. And one of the places is in Egypt. So it's just cool to see like a place like Egypt that you wouldn't necessarily think about being evangelized very well. And he went and did it.
Mm-hmm. Pretty cool. Going out there, spreading the good news. Okay, Mr. Codekas, what you got for us?
Okay, so, first off, also, Tyler and I coordinated our outfits today, so we didn't wear the same. So, so we feel you on the shirt. But, so, one of the major, patriarchates he helped found was Alexandria, kind of going off T. Marsh. But the interesting fact I like is that he's also probably maybe most widely known as being the patron of Venice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because some relics that were in Alexandria were stolen and taken to Venice. And they're like, okay, I guess we have a patron now. But it's like the turn the other cheek, kind of pray for those who wronged you. He's like, yeah, you can steal bits of my bones and stuff, but you're sure as heck gonna build a towering cathedral to me then.
It's true.
So kind of like it, kind of a boss move.
Yeah, and they did in fact steal them. That is a awesome story about that. Now, did you want to talk? Did you want to talk about the lion? Why is Mark a lion of the 4 gospel writers? Do you know?
Yeah, I can talk about the lion. So, a lot of those kind of deal with how they describe certain things. So for Mark, one of it is how he describes John the Baptist in his Gospels as a voice cries out in the wilderness, prepare the way of the Lord. Artists took that and made a depiction of a lion with it, in particular a winged lion, which also, like, the wings allude to this passage in Ezekiel. And I think that's so appropriate for Mark. I think it's like a bit of foreshadowing, or maybe they took inspiration. I don't know. The prepare the way of the Lord, make straight the path, because he was martyred by being dragged. So I don't know. I think there's some correlation there.
Interesting. Yeah, that is really interesting.
Yeah.
And I find that the first gospel written is Mark, but he's not first in the Bible, which always confuses kids, because when you ask them which gospel was written first, what do they always say? They say Matthew, because it's first in the Bible. So that's a fun fact. Mark's gospel is considered the action gospel. And I love when Father Kyle talks about it, because he said there's not really much pausing between the action. He's like little superhero Jesus, and he runs and he does one thing, and then he runs and he does another thing. But as T. Marsh, as you mentioned, being the shortest gospel, he doesn't waste words or descriptions. So that's definitely.
No, that's one thing I really like about him, is that's just what you see is what you get. This is what happened. There's no, this is maybe what it means, where some of the other gospel writers will kind of give you inferences to what Jesus was thinking.
Right.
Mark doesn't do that. He just says, here's how it was, deal with it.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I kind of like him in between Matthew and Luke, the synoptics, the other synoptics. It's like one of the theories is that Mark lends to Matthew and Luke. So it's like he's there and he's branching off to the other two.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I think
that's off of him.
Well, yeah, and nowadays you can't do that. And I think the other thing
when I
is,
try to lend to other people, I get in trouble.
Phew, amazing how that works. And where are they getting their stories from? And I think I could see Luke going, oh, well, we didn't witness this story, and taking little pieces and making a fuller story. I'm sure there was some of that went on as well. He was not one of the 12 apostles. A lot of people don't know that. He was not one of the 12 apostles. Peter refers to him, and they think a lot of Mark's gospel is from the stories that Peter told him. And Peter actually refers to Mark at one point as his son. That's how close they were, and I think that's really beautiful as well. Gospel was probably written. This is another thing that I think so many people misunderstand. They think that so many people misunderstand that the Gospels were written the moment all of this was happening, and that was not the case at all. There are stories that are told that Jesus's followers thought he was coming back right away. Then they all started to die, and so they decided it might be good to write it down. So it's fascinating to me that it was quite a ways. It wasn't written until 60 or 70, which is not, right when all this stuff with Jesus was happening. Then you told the thing about the notaries, right? Did we mention that, or was that before we started recording?
That was before we started. I said it was notable.
It was notable.
Notary.
He is the patron saint of notaries. Yeah, and he is the cousin of Barnabas, which is a little fact if you know about Barnabas. Traveled with Paul. He was eventually martyred. Did you mention that, Stephen? I don't know if we.
Yeah, with make straight the paths with your body.
Straight the paths with your body, and that's just awful. And the other thing is that I found today in an article that Mark Mark is a great role model for us because he did what we're all supposed to do, which is proclaim the good news of Jesus. He just happened to do it through writing. We don't have to do it through writing. We can do it in other ways, whether it's music or poetry or artwork or just talking to other people, not necessarily writing. But he is a good role model for all of us, as all saints are. But I do like to find a connecting piece to the story. So, you guys ready to play a few truth bombs with Saint Mark?
Bombs away.
Sarah doesn't look ready.
Sorry, I just got distracted because stuff about St. Mark is up in front of me on my screen. And I just saw a mosaic in St. Mark's Basilica and I've been to St. Mark's Basilica in Venice, depicts sailors covering the relics with a layer of pork and cabbage leaves. Because Muslims are not permitted to eat pork was done to prevent the guards from inspecting the ship's cargo too closely. So when they stole his relics from Alexandria and they were on the boat coming over, they covered him with pork and cabbage leaves, apparently. Sorry, I was just distracted.
That
And
is...
then afterwards, you celebrate with cabbage rolls. So, hey.
Cabbage rolls, cabbage rolls. Yeah, I guess it would be.
St. Mark's holy meal.
Mark's holy meal. Oi. Okay. Okay, you ready, Sarah?
Sure.
I'm ready. Okay. Sarah.
You asked me what the last meal would be. I'm going to go with cabbage roll.
No cabbage rolls.
The whole plate of cabbage.
Sometimes I have to start saying no to answers because we get stuck on a roll. Okay, Sarah. St. Mark, what would you buy him in a Secret Santa exchange?
What would I buy him in a Secret Santa exchange? So cabbage rolls are out, huh?
Yep, can't use cabbage rolls.
That's my favorite.
Oh my gosh. What would I buy him? I mean, I want to buy him a little stuffed lion.
Aww, little stuffed lion. Little stuffed lion. My family's, one of my family's favorite movies of all time is The Ugly Dachshund. It's an old Disney movie. And there's this huge, massive, he's not a German Shepherd, but he's a huge dog. Great Dane, I guess he is. And the one, it's a Chinese caterer who comes over to help with their party. And when he sees the Great Dane for the very first time, he screams, "Ryan, Ryan," like lion, but he can't say the word lion. So I always think of Great Danes, "Ryan, Ryan," and he climbs up a tree to get away from the Great Dane. So totally an aside. You can tell it's Friday that we're recording this because I'm tired.
There's going to be no distraction at all during this.
Okay. Team Marsh.
Yes,
If his house was burning down, what one thing would he save in a fire?
Well, it's technically two things, but I'm going to count it as one. A pen and some paper. So you could write it down what had happened.
You know, that I can't imagine how much papyrus was. I mean, it couldn't have been cheap or reasonable. It had to be expensive.
You got to save those resources.
Yep. That's why I always tell the kids too, when we talk about anything that's in the Bible, writing down stuff was expensive to do. And so every word has some kind of significance, or else it wouldn't have been included, because it just was not, it's not like today where we just sit and type on a computer. Okay, excellent. Mr. Codekas. Who would they be in the Star Wars saga?
Ooh. Wow.
Chewbacca?
Really? Why Chewbacca?
Well, he's kind of fuzzy like a lion and a few words.
Oh, man, a few words. That's true. Ben has us watching Star Wars, The Clone Wars, and there's a little Wookiee in that, and it just makes me smile because I do love Chewbacca. So now I'm going to think when they say the gospel according to Mark, I'm going to go, Chewie! Okay.
Have a Chewbacca noise in the back. The Wookiee noise.
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it at all. Sarah?
Yes.
What thought goes through St. Mark's mind at least once a day?
What thought goes through his head at least once a day?
I actually have an idea.
Oh, well, what's your idea? I'd love to hear it.
My idea is, why the hell did I run away naked in the Garden of Gethsemane?
I was thinking about that. I was also thinking, ooh, gotta write that down.
Anything? Oh yeah, gotta write that down. That would be excellent. Oh, that was a good one. We gotta write that down.
Yeah, gotta write that down.
I was
Gotta write
thinking,
that
don't mess up, don't mess up, don't mess up.
Yeah, that
Don't mess
too.
Don't
I
mess
was
up.
thinking of like that thought you have when you're trying to remember something exactly how it was, where it's like, how did that go again? Like,
Yeah.
because
How
that's
did
probably
that-
why it's so short, because he had to remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm so forgetful anyway, and so I would not be a good person to write a gospel. Let's put it that way. I get that.
I would read it if you wrote it, Brinky.
Well, thanks, Tyler. I appreciate that. But I also don't forget very much because you got your phone to type everything in. See, Mark didn't have that.
Mhm.
This is very helpful. Okay. We had lots of good ideas for that one. That was great. Tyler, one of my
Yes.
favorite questions of all time.
Oh no.
If St. Mark were a can of paint, what would the
Ooh.
color be called?
If you were a kid, that is a great question. All right, I'm going to say
Stephen's
some
got-
sort of like. Steven's got one.
I'm looking at Stephen's
no,
face.
yeah.
I'm wondering.
Your eyes were lighting up like a Christmas tree.
Yeah. Just their default mode.
I think I'm just gonna go with like a charcoal
No, you
gray.
fool.
Like just
Kidding.
And here's my thought. Because it's just plain and it's just how it is. It's just a normal plain color, and that's just kind of Mark. He's just kind of very black and white, but that's gray. So gray.
We
I
could
like-
call it Magnificent Mark Gray.
Yes, I like it.
Mhm. What else were you thinking, Codekas? You got something else on your mind?
Yeah, you got something so
Yeah.
much better. Why don't you share?
I was thinking something like a lion's mane, orange or gold. Or,
Mm.
Oh, I was thinking winged lion lemon, and it
Yeah.
would be a yellow. Mhm.
cabbage green.
No more cabbage rolls. No more cabbage rolls. We don't need the cabbage rolls. Okay, we did really well on that one. So impressed. Maybe you guys are the A team. Is that it? Maybe.
But now the questions get harder.
Okay, Stephen.
What is the velocity of a North African swallow?
We're not
Yes.
going Monty Python. Do you know Monty Python gets referred in so many Truth Bomb episodes, and we had high school students refer to Monty Python in a meeting the other night. Oh, wow. Talk about a cultural,
That's so true.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely a cultural thing that we all
Really
have.
so.
Okay. Stephen, what question would St. Mark hate to answer? Sarah's got an
I
idea.
already know where Sarah's gonna go with this one.
A couple swirling in the old noggin.
Well, what's that?
You know, one's inspired by Sarah. You know, what is your favorite cabbage roll recipe? You know,
That's not the one I thought would be inspired. Mine is, why'd you run away naked?
I would have guessed that's what you were going to say. Like, where were your parents?
Yeah. You know, why didn't you write more?
You know what an adjective is.
Yeah. I really like footnotes. You didn't add any. I need you to. Why didn't you cite your sources? Yeah.
Oh, look at you. That's a
Stephen's been writing papers.
His bibliography is just one. It's Holy Spirit.
Yeah, HS.
Yeah, for the year, the publication date, it's like an infinity.
There you go. He's full of it today. Full of a lot.
Today?
Yeah. Oh, I got another one. Hold on. One more.
What's that?
One more question. St. Mark is tired of answering, or what was it? I already forgot. What was the question?
What question would they hate to answer?
Yeah. Okay. Got it. You ready? You sitting down?
Yes.
Yeah. Have you seen Tiger King yet?
Actually, really good.
We had to work it in somewhere, Becky.
We had to work it in there somewhere.
I was waiting for my opening.
Yeah, and there you go. Well, it's a shame it's not Lion King instead of Tiger King, but that wouldn't work because then that's a Disney movie. So yeah.
More topical.
Yeah, but I was actually also thinking a question he would hate to answer would be, do you hate having your body parts spread all over Europe?
Yeah, how'd that feel?
Yeah, how's that feel to not all be together? I mean, I know most saints are spread to Kingdom Come, but in this case, they stole his relics and took them to Venice. So,
right.
Yeah. How do you feel being Venice's patron? How do you really feel?
I mean, they built him a really nice cathedral.
To make up for it.
Stephen said it's the least they could do.
Yeah. Unless he's like hydrophobic, he's in a pretty good place.
Yeah, the cathedral does flood pretty frequently because of how this sits.
Maybe that's him. He's tired of being there.
Mark
they get a little bit of a rainy season and the whole square and half the cathedral floods. So,
Yeah, instead of shipping me in cabbage rolls, maybe you should have shipped me in like ribeyes. I don't know.
Maybe a little bit more value there. But I can't fathom, Sarah.
Yeah.
Working in a parish, and Stephen, because you're at a parish all the time, and Sarah, you're hanging around all the time. Tyler works for a parish. What it would be like to belong to a parish that floods all the time?
I mean, it's concrete floor. They just sweep the water out. So
it's just it just brings a whole other layer to parish life. Your goggles.
For a significant section of time because they have a rainy season in Venice. So there's like a month where it might be flooded, and then the rest of the time it's fine. And when I say flooded, I just mean like the water is like and it's still whatever.
You think Jackie Kaiser knows how to make liturgical waiters?
Huh?
Yeah. You think Jackie Kaiser knows how to make liturgical waiters?
Yeah, some floaties.
Well, what I was just going to say, apparently the water is much cleaner in Venice these days because, no one's out and about.
No one's in the gondolas. They're not, mixing up the water. It's like in India, they hardly have any pollution. It's great. Yeah. Sarah, I think it's your turn.
Sure.
If St. Mark were an inventor, what would he choose to invent first?
Patrols? Oh.
Boom. Nailed it.
he were in an emperor, what would he choose to invent first? Hey, let's see. Probably something nicer to write on than papyrus. Have you ever written on papyrus? Not very easy to write on, just saying.
No, it kind of stinks.
Ballpoint pen. He would have invented a ballpoint
I
pen.
had a different idea.
Okay, what's your idea, Tyler?
A camcorder, so that he could.
Camcorder. That's true. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
He could have actually recorded what happened in the Garden of Gethsemane. Think about that.
Right. Although maybe wouldn't have wanted to, since part of that was him running away.
Well, especially if he was holding the camera, you'd see like leaves on the ground as he's run past.
You guys know the chronovisor thing? You ever heard of that? Anyone?
No.
What is it?
Chronovisor. I think it's called.
No.
Apparently,
Yeah,
it's like this thing, and that using whatever, I don't know, he was able to see the crucifixion as it was happening, and apparently one of the things that's stashed away in the Vatican archives is this chronovisor.
Who knew?
Or you know.
No.
Stephen
The more
knew.
you know. That's right. You know, our kids don't get that because that wasn't their era.
No, because that was long before their time.
Long before their time.
Yeah, it was.
No, the more you know, Stephen. Okay. Moving on. Oh, there he is. He's going to send it to us. It's on our link in our chat. Sorry, Pete, ladies and gentlemen who are watching this show, you don't get the link. Tyler, if he won the lottery, what would he buy first?
I'm going to go a darker route here. He would, because this was appropriate at the times, not condoning the activity, I would say that he would buy some servants to help him so that he wouldn't have to do all the writing and all the work. And he would pay them well.
He could dictate to them and they would write.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
That was my thought. Not to condone.
There is a lot to be said for having people help you out. So that's a good one. I like that a whole lot. Then he could have invented a printing press and then he could have printed it faster. It would be great. Not that anyone could have read it, but you know, at least it would have gotten out there faster. Codekas, I'm curious, who came through the back door? I heard it.
Some Jehovah's Witness.
Jehovah's Witness. Are they there with you while you're recording?
Scott. Hi.
It's Scott, the Jehovah's Witness?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't you have one?
No. I always scared the Jehovah's Witnesses when they don't come to our door in this neighborhood, but in my old neighborhood, I would invite them in and say, I'm Catholic. I would love to have a great debate and discussion with you. You're not going to change my mind, but I would just love to sit and have coffee or tea with you. You want to come in? And they'd go, no. I said, okay. But I always just wanted to sit.
When I was staying the summer at out in Dayton at Good Hope in Miamisburg, they would come every Friday and I would make them coffee and we would sit on the porch, and then Father Jim would come home and he would try to hide. He would go around the back door so you didn't have to see them. It was really funny. But yeah, they would come and the funniest part was one time I was back in the house and Father Jim was home and they knocked on the door and it was like a kid. It was like, can Tyler come out and play? It was like, where's Tyler at? It's like, hang on guys, I'm bringing the coffee. So that's
a favorite,
story.
Tyler Marsh, a favorite of Jehovah's Witnesses everywhere. Things we did not know.
See?
See?
It's like, start feeding the local wildlife and they know where to go.
That's true.
They multiply and come back and then
They come
stronger
back.
numbers.
They did.
I've noticed this. That happens in youth ministry too. You feed them, they come back.
That's
How dare
true.
they?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay,
I miss
Codekas.
the days.
Codekas, you're goofball. If you didn't know what Saint Mark's name was, what would you think his name would be?
Would be.
Mhm.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Maybe something like,
I have an idea if
can't
you're
be too obvious. Like, okay, he's got this whole lion thing going, right? So you can't call him like Saint Simba or that's too obvious. you know.
Mufasa?
My thought was Leo.
Mufasa.
Leo?
Leo would be, it's also kind of, Scribey McScriber. Oh my God, you got it? Yeah. Sorry. Scribey McScriberson, could be one. All these really Scribey though.
Do they?
Yeah. Yeah. He starts by talking about John the Baptist. You might think, oh, maybe John. I don't know.
I always think,
Yeah.
Mark, the man of few words, right? A simple man. So you would go with John. I think Mark fits him very well because it's just,
Boom.
short
There.
little name.
But to go off like the big cat thing, and then T Marsh is right. So Leo, you can call him like Leo Exotic.
And back to Tiger King.
Wow! And back to Tiger King. That's right. Okay.
Oh, sorry. It'll keep going back.
It's just going to keep coming round and round and round again. I will admit, I have not watched it yet.
Me either. Don't plan to.
What did you?
What has this all been about?
If we're not watching
Mark
it.
the Evangelist.
If I can't scoop, what has this all been about?
He's going to storm off here in just a minute.
Promise?
Promise? Look, he's
What are
counting.
you doing to that lion back there?
Question mark.
I could just mute him, Sarah, anytime. Sarah,
Yes.
if Mark had a secret tattoo, what would it be of and where is it?
I mean, if it's secret, it's got to be like someplace that's covered, right? I don't know.
I love Codekas.
He's the tattoo boy. Ask him.
Can I say, I have been. So I think we talked about this before, right? Like I've been like people noticing like during this quarantine thing, weird dreams have been like amping up, like lucid dreaming, right? And one of my last ones was I dreamt Father Kyle had tattoos.
Father Kyle.
Yeah.
That probably won't ever happen there, Stephen. You can dream all you want, darling.
I'm sure part of the dream was you accompanied him to have these said tattoos.
No, it's like they were like faded, so he's had them for a while.
Mm.
They were colored too, so that was kind of weird.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, Sarah, have you thought of what St. Mark would have?
I mean, I don't know. A quill?
A cabbage leaf.
All the things that come to mind are like the stuff we keep talking about. He'd have a winged lion on his back. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
Oh, blah.
Again, he would what,
put the wing
Stephen?
line in the shoulder blades, he could make it like.
He could make it
Yeah, because
fly.
he could make it flap, which is pretty epic. But I mean, if he's a simple man, I mean, I could just see a cross.
Yeah.
And just, just real simple. but somewhere where he could see it to remind him of, yeah, something real simple.
You'd have words: to Venice with love.
Now that's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah. Did you know St. Mark liked cabbage rolls? Yeah.
That joke is never gonna die.
This is where we start going. We get going downhill. Okay, Tyler Marsh.
Yes.
If St. Mark were a dessert, what dessert would he be?
If he were a dessert, what dessert would he be?
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going to go on the opposite side of where I would normally go. I'm going to go exotic. I'm thinking some kind of like really fancy like souffle or something. Like some kind of something you don't see every day, just because he was so straightforward in his writing life, and maybe he just liked some fancy treats. So I'm going to say like a souffle.
Might be a simple man, but likes the deluxe in eating.
Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, fancy. And then we drizzle something on top, like caramel or
Sprinkles.
Did you just say sprinkles on a souffle?
Souffle?
You can do whatever you want. It's sprinkles.
You don't put
Everything
minis on a souffle.
You could. St. Mark could if you want to.
I mean, you could. You'll lie.
Exactly. So why are we arguing?
So Mark likes his sprinkles because he's a simple man, but likes exotic things, including
rainbow sprinkles or chocolate?
I was going to ask that too. Chocolate.
Chocolate. Because he's simple.
Because he's simple, but he still
doesn't want a lot of attention on himself.
But he still wants the fancy stuff.
I just am wondering if there's a dessert we can make with cabbage.
Yes.
Cabbage soup, maybe. I don't know. That doesn't sound like a dessert.
Cabbage soup.
Like some
you
kind
know,
of
like zucchini bread is kind of like a dessert. Is there like?
Oh, yeah.
Cabbage bread.
All we're like, Sarah's crazy, and then I pull out the zucchini bread, and you're like, maybe she's not crazy.
Maybe she's not crazy. Now this might lead us. We have one. We're going to finish up this round.
Back to dessert. I just came up with one that has to do with pork. Candied bacon.
Candied bacon.
I'm just saying.
Candied bacon.
Comes from
I do want some bacon now. This show always makes me hungry. We end up talking about food. Okay, we're going to finish.
Good questions.
Ma, meatloaf.
Okay, Scott, you got this question. We're gonna finish Scott's. We're gonna finish Stephen's question. Then we'll do one quick round, and then we'll be wrapped up. Okay, Stephen, be scared. Be very, very scared.
Call me Scott. Alexa, play Despacito. Sorry, what?
My Alexa's gonna start playing. You hear it?
Here's a station based on Despacito.
Alexa, be quiet.
You triggered her, Alexa. Wow.
That's awesome.
Okay.
The Catholic Stuff You Should Know podcast. Father Lachlan was like, Alexa, play Catholic Stuff You Should Know. And it started playing like EWTN Mass, like blaring in my house. And I was like, what is going on?
That's fantastic. Funny. I mean, that's pretty fantastic. Okay. Mr. Codekas. If St. Mark could replace a body part with an animal's body part, what would they choose?
Oh, that winged lion's wings.
On what?
It's going to replace his shoulder blades so he doesn't have to do this with his tattoo.
Yeah, so when like robbers come for his body part, they just fly away.
There you go. Perfect.
Wow. Okay. There we go. Sarah?
Yes, ma'am.
If St. Mark released a fragrance, what would it be called?
Cat Patrol. Just kidding.
Oh no.
Lion
No, 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 no,
breath.
no. No, no.
Lion's Breath by Dio.
Lion's breath.
Lion's Breath. Well, that just doesn't sound pleasant.
Oh, how about this? Action Man.
There you go.
Because
I
he
like
was the action gospel. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got lots of good ones for that. I like that a whole lot. Okay. Hey, Mr. Marsh, this is one I rarely ask, but I feel like it's in your wheelhouse. So here we go. If Saint Mark were a transformer, what vehicle would he transform into?
If he were a transformer, I'm going to say some sort of a carriage. So something like he could carry a lot of things, like his papers and his souffles and whatever else he wanted. Something kind of country-ish, but like still workable, like an old fancy, wagon wheel kind of deal.
Nice. Yeah. So nothing with a motor.
I thought about that. I did go there, but then I thought, he's St. Mark. He doesn't need a motor. He's too froofy.
So now El Camino.
It can just be pulled by the lion.
Yeah. With wings.
cool
He can
is
fly.
And he could just fly his carriage if he's got those wings.
The wings, right? Mm-hmm.
We have made St. Mark into something he completely is not. And when we get to the gates of heaven, we might pay for this one. Just saying. Okay.
Doesn't the grace of God do that for all of us? Takes us in our sinful, broken state and.
That's beautiful, Stephen.
Stephen, you must be learning so much in seminary.
So much.
So much. Proof right there. Okay, your last question, Stephen.
Help me answer it.
Who's standing there?
Scott.
Scott. Okay. If St. Mark had to have a password, what would his password be?
It'd be password. What did you say? Shoddy?
Yeah.
Shoddy.
What?
Like S-H-A-W.
S-H-A-W-T-Y.
Shoddy?
Yeah.
You know
What's
why?
that? What does that mean?
Because he's the short gospel.
Oh, he's the short.
But he got the good.
It's really
Love
good.
it.
Hey, what song do you like? We can have Sarah Alexa play it. Well, I said Alexa play Despacito.
That's fantastic.
It's pretty fantastic. Yes, pretty fantastic. Okay, well that's it for St. Mark. I think we took care of St. Mark in a great, wonderful way, or we just destroyed everything you thought you knew about St. Mark. But either way, it was a fun time, right? As always.
I hope it was
We
a
are
short video.
So goodbye to all our youth ministry kids and families, and we miss you a whole lot, and we're praying for you. Love you all, and we will see you soon. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you guys later.
Bye,
You can
thank
wave.
you.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye.